Another big market drawdown today, and Tesla absolutely got destroyed with -14 to -15% as we're just exiting or closing in the market. So yeah, Tesla is no longer holding up much better than the market. So I'm going to explain what I do with my Tesla holdings, and also will let you know the top 3 reasons why I'm bullish long term and what I expect of the short term situation. So stay tuned for that and watch it till the end. And as of now, we're actually also very affected by this crisis because we're now stuck in Spain. We got here on a little work trip and also partly vacation to, just work in a nicer environment here in the sun. But now everything got shut down, and as you have heard, the Spanish government also declared a state of emergency, so you're actually not supposed to leave the house anymore. And yeah, because of that, also we personally got really affected now but in this situation. But as you can see in this drone footage, we are in a very nice surroundings here. We are away from many different of the next people close by, so it's actually a very good place to be self-quarantined for now. So I'm not really affected by the situation in a bad way. However, yeah, currently I was also wondering like how is life going on, and we went outside today to also do a little bit of shopping, and groceries were still widely available. So the supermarkets, they were not sold out, so nobody is panicking. And yeah, that's also very helpful in this situation. So we don't really know right now until when we have to be self-quarantined here in Spain or when we can leave. And you may see that I'm growing a beard because I cannot trim my hair for now. But I think this is some of the smaller issues, and we will still keep on doing content around the topics of innovation in China, and yeah, particularly also some investment opportunities that are closely connected with China. And as you can see in this video about Tesla, some stocks that are very closely related to the Chinese market and also to this ongoing crisis, which already in China is actually much better than what we are witnessing here in Europe, and possibly you are witnessing in the US. So please, if you're new here, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell button so that you get a notification on updates like how the situation here in Spain is evolving, but also what Miriam and what we are doing in terms of managing our stock portfolio, and also which kind of new opportunities that we are seeing arising during this crisis, because there are plenty of that. And if you haven't seen it yet, we've got one video which I will link here, which is about our first setup of a stock portfolio that we did recently. Okay, now back to Tesla and what happened today, and also what I think will happen in the future. Let me first state that none of this is investment advice, so you need to make up your own mind, and I cannot tell you how you should invest. I can only tell you what I'm personally doing, and as outlined in many videos before, I'm a stockholder of Tesla as actually one of the biggest chunks in my portfolio, and it helped me very well during this stock market crash, because until today most of my Tesla stock, I have it in different portfolios, is still up. So it's actually up more than 50% still, even despite today's market crash once again. So it really helped me during this crisis to keep my portfolio on the positive side, even though lots of the other stocks that I have been investing are now down more than 10% or even 20%. Well, and now with today's very steep drop of up to 15%, the Tesla stock hasn't held up anymore as it did in the past. So in the past of this market crash, it was actually usually going down not as much as other shares that I have in my portfolio. And thereby I was also, obviously more optimistic about the Tesla shares. But the real question for now is, well, will I actually, start selling my shares in order to secure some of the profits that I've been making on Tesla? Or will I keep on buying shares, or will I hold? Well, my short answer to this is that I will not sell a single share. I'm not thinking about selling a share for profit or to securing profit and buy back shares later. And the really big reason why I'm not selling Tesla right now is because I'm a very long-term stockholder. So I invest in Tesla because I think I've got a 5 to 10 year timeline in which I want to see, that the company is actually executing on the long-term vision. So thereby, if we have a quick market drop like today, I'm actually looking into rather increasing my shares that I have in Tesla instead of selling it for a short-term profit. Also, not for selling it in a short term in order to, just manage my risk. Because I think, well, for now, I would even have to pay, some taxes on the short-term profits that I would take. Plus, I would take on the bet that I'm actually in a position to time the market, so betting on that Tesla will actually go down further and that I could pick them up much cheaper in the future. So both of those arguments are not reasons for me right now to sell off my shares. I'm rather looking at the fundamentals of the business and on the long-term vision and see if this is still in place. And there's actually 3 big reasons why I think that in the long run Tesla will increase the valuation drastically. I'm not going into full detail here because that would be enough story for another video, but it's about energy efficiency on the one hand side, where Tesla is currently leading in terms of the battery technology and the car technology. So they have a big advantage in terms of any other competitors not able to pick up onto the efficiency that I currently have. Plus, the second thing is the energy business, why Tesla is not only a car manufacturer currently, and which is just starting to evolve with all the battery business and also the solar roof business. And the third reason is full self-driving, in which I think that Tesla is going a unique way, not relying on the LiDAR technology and going more into a neural network and a machine learning approach, which I think is much smarter if it works out. Definitely it's a bet, we don't know if it's working. But those 3 points are the main reasons why I think Tesla over time will increase drastically in market valuation and thereby also increase the stock price. So these are the reasons why I'm looking at the long-term perspectives on Tesla and why I'm currently not worried about what's happening currently in the stock market. However, let's also look into the short term and what could happen to Tesla during this crisis. Okay, so let's look at some short-term effects of the crisis. So in my last video, I already made the case for the NIO stock, which I'm also personally invested in. And NIO is an electric car manufacturer from Shanghai. And obviously they already have been affected by the lockdown in China. And when I was analyzing their stock, I was looking at, some indicators that I could use, and I used the app downloads that were happening in China during the time of the lockdown, which we could saw that have been rapidly declining as soon as the disease cases got published and more public. And we could see that definitely the legacy OEMs have been mostly affected by that. So their app downloads were going down significantly, whereas for NIO it was actually going quite steady, because I was making the case that NIO has more app functionalities that you can actually use during this crisis, because you can use the NIO app for some community functionalities and also for some e-commerce shopping functionalities. And the outcome was that NIO already reported their February car sales, and they have been much less affected than the average of the industry. So the average of the industry in China was down by minus 80% roundabout, and NIO only got affected by minus 12%. So I think we see some indication that NIO's business model, which allows people to buy the cars online, which got somehow reflected also in the app downloads, is a little of an indicator that the sales will also not be affected as much. Now, coming back to Tesla, I think we will see the same effect that we have seen with NIO. Tesla also allows people to buy the cars online. Well, maybe not in the app, and that's also why in this chart we see that also the app got less usage and less downloads during that time, because also similar to the legacy OEMs, you can only use the app for some car functionalities that you obviously don't use during the lockdown period. However, still you can actually go on the website and buy Tesla cars online, so you could do that in China during the lockdown. And what is more important now is actually you can do the same thing in Europe and also in the US in case we get a lockdown. So actually I think Tesla sales will be less affected than actually the legacy OEMs who can only sell through the distributors. And if nobody is going out or even allowed to go out, well, so I think we will see this definitely reflected in the sales of the older OEMs in Germany, in Europe, and also in the US later on. So this e-commerce based business model is one of the key advantages of Tesla, and also one reason why I'm not so worried about the short-term implications on Tesla stock and also on the short-term sales numbers of Tesla. And this goes along with another big reason why Tesla will be better in this crisis, and that's because they are vertically integrated. That means they have most of the parts in-house, they can do most of the processes themselves, and they need far less third-party manufacturers that help them to keep the business up and running. Definitely we will see some impact, and if all of the supply chain will get impacted through a lockdown, also Tesla cannot just go on and produce cars. However, as we've seen also with China already, Tesla got so much faster back up and running with the Gigafactory 3 in Shanghai compared to what we've seen from other manufacturers, that I think that this is also a key advantage in this crisis for Tesla. Another reason why I'm not worried about the short-term implications is that we actually also have some very positive short-term news, which is Model Y. So we saw the first Model Y deliveries already ahead of schedule. This is really big news, and it's also, as Elon already said, a very important part of the Tesla portfolio, because Model Y possibly could become more successful than the rest of the cars that Tesla is currently selling. And regarding Model Y, I did some sales projection for China back then. First of all, starting with Model 3, and I was using the numbers that we got from what Model 3 has done in the US market compared to the German manufacturers, and just using those kind of numbers and use it for a ramp up in China and projecting these numbers compared to the Chinese market. And as you can see in this chart, I've been actually quite conservative with my Model 3 projections for China, so only estimating around 100,000 production capacity in 2020. I think actually we are almost at a run rate in China already in weekly production that will actually exceed this type of amount. But let's just calculate with that and then project a full capacity like it should be ramped in the future, thereby actually overtaking some of the other premium manufacturers in China in the future, and actually taking away a little bit of their growth in the future, even though I think it will not lead to a total destruction of the growth of these other OEMs, simply because the Chinese market is so big and still growing in this segment. But then if we actually add also Model Y in this chart and projecting 50,000 sales or production in 2021, which I think is also quite conservative already, and then ramping it up to 250,000 Model Y in projections by 2025, I think that's a very significant amount of cars going out from Gigafactory Shanghai, obviously. And as we've seen, the next phase of the Gigafactory Shanghai production has already been ramped. So this is all very exciting news, which is short term and then also pays into this longer term growth scenario for Tesla. So these are all reasons why I'm currently not worried at all, and why I think Tesla, especially in China, is really crushing it. And this is just one piece of the puzzle. I made here some very conservative estimations for Model 3 and Model Y coming out of China, but I mean, with the next production phases of the Gigafactory in Shanghai, this could even be extended much further. Plus, as I am currently usually living in Berlin and I'm covering the Gigafactory 4 process in Berlin, I also saw like how it's really progressing very fast. In the beginning we had some troubles with some protests going on and so on. And as you can see in the drone footage that I've been shooting recently before I went to Spain, actually it's really on track of harvesting the forest, so they can now do the next steps. I think right now they're already flattening the ground in order to start with the groundbreaking ceremony, which unfortunately has to be postponed for now because of the ongoing situation here. But, in general, there is now nothing which is actually holding back Tesla in building up those Gigafactories. And I think I'm actually very optimistic right now about what's happening in Berlin. And as we saw in those tweets by Elon Musk, they are actually really quickly looking already for new locations in Brazil or also in the US for newer Gigafactories. So Tesla is still in growth mode here, and that's not something which is worrying to me in terms of that they're currently impacted by this crisis too much, and also by the stock price decline, that they're now thinking of, hey, where can we save cost, or we need to stop some of the projects. No, it's in contrary, they're actually in growth mode, and in such kind of crisis is actually also where the rules of the customer and businesses are getting rewritten, and where actually the consumers are much more likely to adapt new changes. And actually what we also see in China is that more and more government investment is not flowing into only some government stimulus, but also into expanding innovation platforms and infrastructure, for instance 5G network, and also very significantly electric vehicle charging stations that are now rolled out into everywhere into the country. So we will see that those kind of platforms have been established during this current crisis, and Tesla, I think, will be one of the beneficiaries of that. So these are the reasons why I'm still bullish on the long term, as well as I'm very confident about the short-term impacts of this economic crisis, and also why I think Tesla is actually maybe a beneficiary of this crisis, both in China, but also what will now happen in Europe and maybe in the US. So I'm not selling one of my shares. I'm actually rather looking to pick up maybe some more of shares of Tesla if I can at a cheaper stock price, even though Tesla is already the single biggest position in my portfolio. And in future videos, I'm actually going to outline some more opportunities that I see related to this crisis. So please make sure to subscribe to our channel, because Miriam and I, we will pick some of the shares that we think will be beneficiaries of this crisis, just as Tesla is. So please stay tuned for that. And also please help to spread the channel, and leave a like and a comment down below what you do with your Tesla shares. And also please help to spread the word about this channel, because it really helps us to grow this small channel. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. And greetings from Mallorca. I hope you all stay safe and healthy. And I will also keep you updated on what's happening here in the situation, and when I can finally return to Berlin, and also hopefully to China. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.